Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and in today's video, we are going to be breaking down the post-brink of war T5 PvP matchups for SOS 1-4. Now, this group is comprised of NA, BDO, Echo, and AC, or ACDC, if you will. I know. It feels great to say it. We're going to be giving you an updated spreadsheet look. We'll also be talking about what some of the potential matchups are going to be looking like as well for upcoming Zone 2, because it is happening sooner than you think. With that in mind, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So let's go ahead and stop watching this merit farming that's happening, or whatever it may be. I feel like we caught some people in 4K, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a thing. Let's just move on to the goods, right? So goodies are looking like this. And no, my goodies are not bringing people to the yard, but if they are, you're welcome. We have the before, the after, and the difference, right? We showed this as well when we looked at SS1 or SOS 1-3 between TFS Noir, EIS, and BXS. So this is the matchup right now, right? So it's Echo and NA versus BDO and AC, right? Or ACDC. And so the matchup before, right, we were seeing a plus 85 T5 total that was in favor of the BDO AC side. We also saw a 3.688 billion power advantage on the BDO AC side. And then we saw a plus 1100 mil power advantage, 100 mil plus power players, right? So 11 more players on the Echo NA side over the BDO AC side. Now, this is how it looks currently, where we have Echo and NA have 522 T5 players to 495 T5 players. So they grew a lot, right? They went from 35.04 to 37.48. However, when you're looking at the when we're looking at the BDO and AC side, they grew more than the Echo and Tank side. The difference is they grew more on the 115 or on the 100 million plus power range, right? So we can see now collectively they still grew, but more so on that based on the amount of power that was grown, right? So we can see here in the change that Echo and NA, their side, from their collective alliances, grew by 2.444 billion power during the training event. And again, not to say all of that is training, but probably the majority of that is training, because again, they're probably still leveling up as well aside from that. Then we have 2.926 billion power increased from the Brink of War training event on the BDO ACDC side. So you end up seeing the difference here, right? So they gained, the Echo NA side gained 127 T5s. They gained 16 100 mil pluses. But then when we look at the BDO AC side, they grew 15 T5s, but they grew 31 100 mil pluses, right? And it just goes to show you, right? Like when you look at the data, you see for yourself, that's the thing we've been talking about, is you have to weight the powers for players. Where we talked about this when I did the video, when we did the post-brink of war yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before? And then also when we did the video the morning of the 24th, whether this will come out later on the 24th or the 25th, when we talked about how the SOS 1-3 KvK, which is the largest KvK in history, more or less, right, could potentially be seeing some levels of disappointment. And we talked about how you need to weight the certain player powers, right, at certain levels, where, like we talked about briefly, right, you're not going to put someone who's a 50 mil and 100 mil in the same category, or someone who's 60 and 100 mil, or 80 and 100 mil, right? Even though they're close, the fact is the higher you are in power, the more spending capabilities on average you have. And so I think this is very indicative when you look at the data now from the training event, on how we have a lot more 100 mil pluses on this side, and that accounts for more power than the 15 additional T5s. So that I just think is very interesting when you look at the matchup. Now, the matchup itself, keep in mind, right, before the matchup, I think, was a little, I want to say overall it was a little better because you had a plus 11, 100 mil plus, you had 85 more T5s, and you had 3.688 billion. I actually think this is a pretty good matchup, right? Now, maybe you could argue for the Echo tank side, maybe having a few more 100 mil pluses. Personally, I think this is pretty close. Not to say that it's obviously going to ever be the best it will be, because like we've talked about before, we should not have unrealistic expectations that the numbers are going to be 1 for 1, right? You're never going to have it where everyone has an equal amount of 100 mil plus players, equal amount of T5s, and an equal amount of power. It's just not going to happen. So what we often like to see is where if one side has more 100 mil plus players, we like to see the other side with more overall power and more overall T5s. But again, not to where it's too overwhelming, right? But now, we're a lot closer now, right? So whereas Echo and Tank had more 100 mil plus players by 11, now the side is flipped, and now it's BDO ACDC that has more 100 mil plus players, but by 4. And then you see that Echo has 27 more total T5s, but you still have more power on the ACDC side. So they kind of almost did a full flip, if you will. And I think the only thing, and I will say this, I do think the matchup is a little bit more closer now. The only thing I would have maybe liked to have seen is where Echo and Tank, or Echo and NA, have a little bit more total power than BDO and AC. Because now they have a little bit more total power, and they have 4 more 100 mil plus players. Even, right, and then you're looking at it, and I look at the same thing where it's like, okay, well, now I kind of would like to almost see Echo and NA have a little bit more total T5 players, right? So now, whereas it looked as though some of the advantages were, I don't know if I'd say advantage, I would say like it was very close, but I probably still would have maybe edged it out. Part of me feels like I don't want to disrespect the value of the 100 mil plus players, right? And part of me feels like the edge maybe would have gone a little bit more Echo NA, and again, that's just at face value for data. But now it feels like the advantage is a little bit more BDO ACDC. And I can also understand if you kind of go either way on the before matchup, but I definitely think on the after matchup now it is a little bit more in favor of BDO ACDC. And I'm not saying it's overwhelmingly, but I do think even if it's just by a smidgen, it looks like that. And so then we look at the breakdowns here for each of the 50, the 60, 80, 100, 125, and a 150 mil pluses, where you see kind of a loss of -3s, loss of 1, 2, right? And this is the difference between the before and afters, right? Then you see the gain at a 80 mil plus, right? So you see the NA Echo side getting 1, still 6, but then it's plus 10, plus 20 at 100 mil pluses, right? So you kind of see plus 2, plus 8, plus 4, right? You kind of see how that breaks down at each tier for kind of the new people that they ended up gaining. So now that we know it's, again, with the Echo NA, BDO ACDC, right, let's go back in game for a minute and just watch some good old-fashioned merit farming. let's zoom out. So with Echo and NA, right, we have BDO, and then we have Echo over here, and I think NA was supposed to be down here, right? Or sorry, what do I have here? Oh, hang on, did we flip this? Let me make sure I'm showing you guys the right thing. I don't want to be cray. Okay, good. I am post-BoW, right? Yeah, so Echo, NA, Tank. Why did I think that they were the same? I guess they're crisscross as well. Echo, and then, so that what, they're over here? Oh, interesting. Okay, so they are crisscross. Oh, you know what? I bet you it was the third group. It was probably the third one that I did, the third strongest KvK, which was I think that's SSG and whomever else it is that we did. Where is it real quick? That's the one. Why I was thinking that this one was the one where it was north and south, but this is, yeah. So this is the one where it's SSG, PTW going up against ROE and 57. Okay. So now, let's go back to the matchup. Let's look at how everyone is setting up at the moment for Zone 2. Keep in mind the passes are going to be opening pretty soon, right? So it looks like it's going to be, I guess, Echo, maybe BDO. Let me see here. So Echo's at a gate. Oh, sorry. Echo, their main is at a gate. ECH1 is at a gate. And BDO is over here with BDO2. And it looks like BDO. Okay. So that looks like something. Echo is over here. ARPO is building. Who has touched over here? So DC has touched. Doesn't look. So it looks like maybe they're going to take that. but they've only touched one gate, and I guess that assumes AC is here. So AC is here. They got a farm. DC's over here. Okay. I wonder if AC is going to drop one, a fort, either a CF, or if they're going to try and keep building out this way. Let me see. DC, AF. Yeah, they haven't. The farthest they've built, I think, is over here. Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, again, keep in mind, they can still hop territory. So it's not the end of the world. It's just, again, having a little bit more, I guess we can kind of maybe talk about bridge or pass strategy maybe at a later point, but in short, right, if you want to try and get as many people through a pass as fast as humanly possible, right, you basically want to layer your flags, right? So you would do one here, one here, one here, right, one here. You basically try and create as much space as you can as close to the gate as possible, and then you just try and basically fit as many people in, right? You clear RSS nodes, you attack PvE units, Darklings, etc., right, you clear it all out so you can get as much people to TP space in, and then that way you're as close as you can to the bridge, to the pass, and you get as many people through as humanly possible. And again, part of it obviously I think just depends on what the strategy and what the approach is per each alliance. Again, are you trying to basically hold down some choke point advantages? We can maybe talk about that later on. Maybe that'll be an interesting thing for another video where we talk about kind of what's some of the Zone 2 prep and plan for how to play this out and how it could look. But I do not want to necessarily take away from the premise or the main topics of the video today. And then we have, let's see here, we got NA, who's over here, and looks like TK building. Okay, so right now, I guess based on how this looks, we can probably get it anyway. However, to me, it looks like we're going to probably see BDO Echo in Nivola, and then we're going to see... TKNA going up against ACDC, which, if that happens, right now, keep in mind, would we be okay if we just see two main Zone 2 fights? Yes, I would be totally fine with that. Is there the possibility that they're going to have main focuses on the two Zone 2s for Nivola and then Palanos? And then are they going to have secondary focuses where they're trying to take the bridges here in Sophrostia and then Burning Lands on the east, and then try to have like smaller secondary skirmish fights where they're maybe doing slow builds, grabbing the passes, maybe just kind of doing small skirmishes, right? Now, wouldn't it be dope? Just a random thought here. Let me know what you guys think on this one. What if they're having their main fights in Nivola and Palanos, but then the secondary fights in Sophrostia and Burning Lands over here? Oh, sorry, is it Agoru? God, why did I think it was Burning Lands? Lol. Agoru. And then they end up fighting it out with like calves and flying units or something like that, right? What if like the secondary fight is more of like an opportunity where it's like, yo, let's just agree it's calves and flying only. Wouldn't that just be sick? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Part of me feels like that could be dope if maybe some of these zones kind of turn into that, where the groups will get together and agree and say, yeah, for the first 24 hours, we're just going to do calves only. For this day 2, we're going to do flying only. Wouldn't that just be nuts? Or even if you did like 2 or 3 unit combinations, and I'm not necessarily saying maybe that has to be for the main fight, but for a secondary fight, an area, right, that could maybe be kind of cool. I'm just spitballing essentially at this point. With that in mind, I will say I am excited. Personally, based on how the numbers look, I am more excited for this KvK matchup more than I am for the SOS 1-3 matchup. And that's not to say that I don't think that matchup is going to yield a lot of PvP and hopefully a lot of great and memorable moments and fights and engagements. But this matchup is just a little bit more balanced. And I think because of that, the hope is that this should be, right, a good, long-lasting KvK, along with being able to see maybe more often kind of tugs and pulls, or pulls and pushes, right? Where we get to see kind of the swaying back and forth, if you will, of, well, maybe one side is up now. Okay, maybe the other side's countered. Now they're up now. Okay, now the next day's passed and the other group is back up now. Those types of things, I think, are, for me, kind of the ups and downs of the waves, are nice to see. Because I think it also can show that because of that balance, everyone has this feeling that they can win. And that, to me, that level of hope, that level of optimism that you get from how the numbers look is, I believe, incredibly important. I think when you go into a matchup that you can see at face value is a lot more balanced and a lot more fair than maybe you thought it would be, or comparing to other matchups, that has to be some kind of psychological motivation, a mental boost, if you will, for players to say to themselves, man, anyone can really win this. And that, I think, is what every KvK matchup should be trying to reach, is that this idea that everyone playing there believes that, you know what, anyone can win. Any side can take this. It's really just going to come down to who's showing up, right? Who's out-strategizing each other, right? Who's hitting the over 9,000 IQ plus point plays, etc., right? That is where I am most excited to watch. So, looking forward to SOS 1-4 here. Good luck to everyone involved. And I'd love to hear from you. If you're in this group, if you're someone who's looking forward to watching this group, why are you looking forward to watching it? Who do you want to win? Who do you want to put in the ground 6 feet under? And who are some stars? Who are some people you think are really going to come out and make a name for themselves in this group? And then who should we try to keep our eye on? Which I guess is kind of one of the same. But let me know in the comments down below. As always, until next time, that's going to do it for me. We'll catch you later.